This is Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hey, it's Ready, Set, Bet here on a Sunday. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, channel 158 over on the Sirius XM YouTube TV, our very own VSiN Watch app. Terrestrial stations across this great country of ours. Matt Brown, Mike Somich from the largest sports book in the world on the desk with me after cheating on me yesterday. I walk into the studio, cheating on me again, right in front of my face. It's different when you do it behind my back, but you do it right in front of my face.
You weren't giving me enough attention, so I had to make you jealous somehow.
I know, seriously. You know? Well, I'm gonna have to. I guess I need to fire up the old apps and see what's going on with all that. But obviously, a great show for us. We got a couple of very big games to talk about. A series is going to kick off, and a little thing that happened yesterday where maybe some people out there made some money as well. But real quick here, Mike, the Nuggets just absolutely blow out the Clippers. 121-101 in Game 7. Honestly, the score was not indicative of how that game went. They were actually up 35 points in this game with 8:30 left. It did get a little bit closer. There was a little bit of a rally there in the fourth quarter, but honestly, just a crazy, crazy beatdown. They cover the 1.5. They get over the 207.5 easily in this one as well. And you look down that box score, which you and I often do, and see what kind of tells the tale. And then you see that all 5 Nuggets starters scored at least 15 points. Russell Westbrook, who was their main guy off the bench, scores 16 points. It was just a team collaborative effort, and they go in and they move on.
They do. Two things I think are important takeaways here. First off, we saw the role players step up at home, and that was the big difference here. I think if this was in LA, we might have had a different outcome. James Harden, not great in Game 7. Once again, he ends the game with just 7 points on 2 for 8 shooting. The other thing I want to talk about, and this is for both Game 7s yesterday, we saw the unders get absolutely pounded until the morning, and then we saw over money just start flowing in. This total was as low as 204. The Game 6 total was 213.5. So almost a 10-point adjustment in the total to the morning of the game, and then we saw this float all the way up to 207 by tip. In the NHL, we saw 6 totals in that Avs Star series consistently. That was 5.5 juice to the under by the time the puck dropped. Contrarian overs had a good day yesterday in Game 7s.
I think one of the things you could look at here in this one was maybe just the fact that the sportsbooks overcompensated for the whole Game 7 under thing. And listen, it is a real deal. You do see teams, if we go historically and look, this isn't one of those trends that doesn't play out. This is it doesn't matter what teams are out there. It doesn't matter whatever. You can go in and you can see, do play a little slower, a little more methodical, a little bit more defense, a little bit more intensity in some of these games go under. But like I said, just a massive huge adjustment to where people go, okay, that's too far. That's too much. Honestly, I forgot to put it in, but I mean, when it was sitting, when we were on air, there was a 206.5 that popped, and then it gets to 207, then it gets to 207.5 throughout the course of the 3 hours. But that being said, I mean, I'm looking here going, I get it. I understand, and I get the thing that we see in these Game 7s, but we're adjusting this thing now. 7-8 points. It's a lot.
7-8 points from a total that went over.
Yeah.
They went over in Game 6. This isn't like they were under the total in Game 6 and then we saw this massive adjustment. No, they went over the total in Game 6 and then we saw that 9-point original adjustment, basically 7 points when they tipped off was the actual adjustment that we saw. And in the NHL, the Avs Star series was over 6 minus 125. Game 5 and Game 6. Game 7's total was 5.5. The under juiced minus 120. So not just a half goal move, but also 45 cents from the over to the under. So if you want to bet the unders in these Game 7s, bet them early, especially in the NHL. I mean, we're going to talk about the Blues Jets here. They're at 5 now. It's been 5.5 the entire series. They got so much under money. They've moved down to 5 there. The first period under is minus 160. That's been minus 120, minus 115 the entire series. So the Game 7 under trend is real. But the pricing has to be something that you are paying attention to when you're betting this.
So what that does is we move on to the Nuggets and the Thunder. That series price out there, minus 700 currently on the Thunder, 5-1 on the Nuggets. And I don't know if there's a principal bet to be made here, but it's tough. Like you got the best player on the planet, like sitting here on one of these teams and they're 5-1 dogs in a series, I mean,
I don't disagree with it.
No, but it's just,
But 5-1, yeah. I mean, it just, the eye test is like, that's kind of crazy. That seems a little bit high.
They split the series 2-2 in the regular season. Jokic averaged a triple-double against this Thunder team in those 4 games. I mean, again, I agree that they're definitely the better team. There's no doubt about that. 5-1 on the Nuggets, though. Like there's something about that is going to sit with me until this thing gets going, and I don't know. I might have to put the bet in.
I'm more power to you if you do. I will not be betting this series. I don't love this Nuggets team. I was on the Clippers. Don't let me bet the Clippers again, by the way. Just smack me if I want to bet the Clippers in the playoffs next year, because it's just, it doesn't go well. It does not end well for you. But the 5-1 price it's huge. I think that the game's price a little more interesting. You can look at OKC 4-1 at plus 230, kind of like that a little bit, because I think they hold serve at home. Can they take 1-2 in Denver? If they do, then we end up 4-1 there for OKC. Crazy to me, like, you can get 4-2 at plus 450. So I realize Nuggets 5-1's great. Hey, Oklahoma City, the Nuggets to win 2 games in this series is 4.5 to 1.
Yeah. Stars beat the Avs 4-2 in Game 7. All 4 of those goals coming in the third period. If you were watching, it looked like they were dead in the water. The crowd, the energy had been sucked out of the place. It looked like Dallas was ready to go home for the summer. And then they get the goal. And then they get the next goal, and then they get the next goal. Then they get the empty netter there to make it 4-2. But man, I'll tell you, if you were a Colorado Avalanche fan, you're like, oh, we're moving on. You felt really, really good about what was going on out there.
They say the worst lead in sports is a 2-goal lead in a hockey playoff game, and this was the antithesis of that. You saw the Stars start to push on offense and push on offense and push on offense, and you saw Colorado start to get back on their heels. Then we cut this to 2-1. And all of a sudden, it's just an avalanche, no pun intended, of Stars offensive action again until we get that 2-2 tie.
Yeah.
Hats off to Mikko Rantanen. He gets traded from Colorado to Carolina. Colorado's like, hey, no problem. We're trading him to the Eastern Conference. And then they're like, oh, now he's on Dallas. After Carolina trades him over to Dallas, and he just destroys his original team. Hat-tricked in this game. He had 3 goals in the third period. He was the reason the Stars are moving on.
Guys, I know if you were on the network yesterday, even this morning, whatever it might be, you were well aware of how things ended up yesterday in the Kentucky Derby. But I'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention it here. Yet again, Sovereignty gets it done. Journalism, Baeza, Final Gambit are your top 4 there. Owen Almighty gets the 5th place finish with a very, very long shot odds attached to him. Burnham Square, Sandman, and then East Avenue are your top 8 is how those horses ran. Mike, kind of chalky. I mean, it was everybody talking Sovereignty and journalism, and then Baeza, once he got in the field, everybody talking Baeza as well. That's a decent little payout, not in what we've seen in years past for a trifecta and a superfecta for sure, considering Sovereignty and journalism the way that they went off. But, you looked, I know you were all over Sovereignty. I mean, if you even listen to the announcers on NBC, I mean, Baeza was, everybody liked Baeza that was in the know, except I guess the betting market, because it just didn't, trickle down a little bit towards the end, but like still getting, 14-1 on this horse that everybody was like, no, this horse is really legit. Like this horse is really, really legit. Did it help us that Sandman was in the field and this social media influencer was getting all the money floating in? I mean, like, honestly, did that help us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I talked about it for literally 3 weeks leading up to the Kentucky Derby on VSiN at the Track over on at VSiN Live on YouTube. The fact that this is the day where all the public money comes in, the storylines matter. Render judgment for Toby Keith, who unfortunately passed away. He wanted to win a Derby. That horse was in there. He took a ton of money. Sandman, because of the connections that you had, the Metallica connections that showed up at the barn 2 days before the race, the social media influencer who was a part owner of this horse and his 3 million plus followers, the money just rolled in on horses that,
they got us better numbers
for
on
lack
the good
of a better word, had no chance at winning the race.
I mean, like they're sitting there, they're asking all the celebrities beforehand too. And I'm sitting here going, every one of them's picking Chunk of Gold, right? Because of the name.
Yep.
And they're like, oh yeah, gold medal, Chunk of Gold, whatever, stuff like that. I watch the odds go from 35 to 30. It's just, I'm like, this is great for people who in the know, as long as one of the popular horses isn't one of the horses you want to bet.
We also had the Rich Strike effect. So Rich Strike won the Kentucky Derby a couple of years ago at 80-1. We have not seen a single horse in a Triple Crown race go off at 40-1 plus since then. The public just won't let that long shot go off. And the beneficiary of that is your favorites, because it means that you're getting a ton of money that is all on underlays, that they're all taking too short of a number, and that allows the number for horses like journalism, for horses like Sovereignty, to float up to a point that they should never, ever have been at.
Yeah, we're sitting here. Mike, of course, talked about his $1 ticket that, $1 bet that got up to about $24 there for the superfecta. This is what it looked like over on when you were cheating on me yesterday as the race was finishing up.
Sovereignty over journalism, followed by Baeza and Final Gambit. Give me that superfecta, baby. Let's go. We cashed it with Sovereignty on top, Journalism second, Baeza third, Final Gambit fourth. Woo! I love me some Kentucky Derby action. That is how you hit the superfecta.
Yeah, I gotta say, my on-air bid is dead now too, because I used to say that my return on investment for the Kentucky Derby was negative infinity, but no longer anymore. I hit the trifecta 5 times and the exacta 9 times, so I've now won money betting the Kentucky Derby. So that we retire that bid. No longer am I negative infinity.
Well, you are now one of the best horse players I know.
Yeah,
you've hit. I mean, your trifecta rate is unbelievable. Shout out to everybody who followed VSiN throughout the last couple weeks and who bought the guide or bought a pro subscription to get the guide over there. We hit the superfecta 3 times in the guide, a little over $300 investment, returned almost $5,000. The outpouring that I have gotten on Twitter, emails, even last night when I was in downtown Vegas, has been overwhelming. Congratulations to everyone who cashed with me there. That was a heck of a hit for $24, Matt. Paid $1,680.
Yeah, this is again maybe something too as we move forward. Following these horses that are getting a lot of love for no other reason other than who they're attached to might be a great way for us to start to play even some of these fixed odd futures markets on these horses that we know, like, oh man, this is like incredible value on some of these things.
Yeah, I hope Sandman runs in the Belmont. I hope he's back. He'll get bet again. He's not winning again. It's interesting because there's only a few races every year you get that opportunity. The Kentucky Derby, obviously, being one of them.
We are going to talk Major League Baseball. We are going to talk NBA. We got all kinds of stuff to get going here. You've got hockey bets we'll talk about a little bit later. I mean, this is an absolutely great Sports Sunday here. Ready, Set, Bet on VSiN.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Ready, Set, Bet here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, on a Sunday from the world's largest sports book here, Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas, in which people start trickling in. It was a late night last night.
It was.
It was a late night last night. We got a few people out there.
We got baseball. First pitch starting here shortly. So
I did see a couple of guys as I walked in, both double fisting the tall boy Trulies. And so I heard the one guy go, do you think maybe we should slow down? Which led me to believe that this wasn't their first round of double fisting the tall boy Trulies. So, good for them. They'll be partying. They'll be out here.
Shout out to the fuel shop here.
Yeah,
it's buy 2 get 1 free tall boys, man. It's the beer, it's the Trulies, it's the high noons, whatever you want. Buy 2 get 1 free here. It can get you in some trouble, Matt. I'm going to be honest.
It can. Well, we'll see about that maybe a little bit later today. Mets and the Cardinals, guys. Major League Baseball getting going here in a couple of minutes. Just remember, lots of rain today. So if you're betting props, I just always do this when there's lots of rain across the industry. If you're betting props on pitchers, just understand, depending on the length of the delay, how things break, all that are, some managers won't bring the starter back out, right? If he's thrown X amount of time or if he has to sit too long or whatever it might be. So just keep that in mind as you were going in betting baseball today.
Well, and know your rules. Know the book that you're betting at, what the rules are around props. So they have to go, like some books will say it has to go 8.5 innings for all props. Which means that if you're playing a home run prop, if you're playing a total bases prop, and you only go 5.5 innings or 6 innings, whatever it is, that's voided. It's not a win. So make sure you understand what is happening from a rain situation. We already have the Rays and the Yankees in a rain delay here.
Yeah, one going right now, Mets and the Cardinals. I did play an over on the team total here for the Mets at 4.5. Sprinkled a little on the over 5.5 as well, plus 150. So if you're taking, let's say you're playing one unit, I did 80% one, 20% on the other one there. Eric Fetty going for this Cardinals team, Mike, 4.82 xERA, 5.5 xFIP. He's got a 12% walk rate.
Not good.
And a 12% K rate. If you're walking as many people as you're striking out, that is not good. Mets have a 394 WOBA since April the 20th. So last 2 weeks, this team has just been on fire, striking out just 16.6% of the time. So give me the Mets to go out there and knock Fetty around a little bit.
Fetty, Crochet, someone we'll talk about here shortly. 2 guys who were on the White Sox last year. The underlying numbers don't really support what they're doing right now.
Yeah, it is. I really do like that one a ton. I thought about just the over in general, but this Cardinals team just hasn't been hitting the ball. I don't know what we're going to get out of Blake Tidwell. He's making his first major league start here. Highly touted guy though for this Met squad, but I ended up just opting for the Mets side of it because at least I have some confidence. And then I don't know, Tidwell might come out here and he had a super high K rate in AAA. I mean, that doesn't always translate over to the pros, but he might go out here and just dominate this Cardinals team. And so with that, I just decided to go Mets instead.
I like betting on those type of guys. First start in the majors who were very good, specifically from a K perspective in the minor leagues. They don't get, in my mind, the correct love from the market. And a lot of times you can get a positive number. Like I did not look at the Mets first 5 here. Yeah. But that would be interesting to me as well because he's not going to go very deep. You're not getting the full game, but that first 5 segment, especially first time through the lineup when none of these hitters have seen him before, it makes me a little interested.
Raising the Yankees coming to you here in about 20 minutes. That is Taj Bradley versus Will Warren. Yankees are actually big minus 162 favorites here against this Rays team with Bradley going plus 136 for the Rays on the road. A flat 9 is your total that is heavily juiced now towards the under here, Mike, on this one. I'm going to look at these starting lineups real quick. We saw Volpe go and take he dove yesterday. And so he's not in the lineup. So Volpe not in the lineup for the Yankees. I wondered if he was going to get the day off today. He ended up staying in the game, but they were looking at his shoulder pretty good. And so he's not in there for them. So if that makes any difference for you there in this game, you are looking here at Twins and Red Sox. Actually, I have a bet in this one as well. Yeah.
I mentioned Garrett Crochet and kind of what he has been like this year. He's got a very good on paper ERA right now, sitting in the low 2s. But if you look at his expected ERA, it's closer to 3.5. You've got Paddock out there for the Twins. I have no faith in him being able to pitch well,
which is why I have what I have. Yes,
so,
exactly.
Give me the over here. I was surprised that I was surprised that the 8.5 number is juiced toward the under. Give me over 8.5 in this spot. I think Crochet is due for a regression. We'd always say the regression monster may not bite today, but it will eventually bite. I'm willing to take a shot on the over here because the Red Sox might get there themselves with Paddock and Crochet.
Everybody's just waiting on Paddock to get bumped out of this lineup. I mean, they have a couple of highly touted dudes in AAA they're going, Twins, what are you doing? Like, why are they
still
sitting
rolling
down?
Them out? Yeah.
Like Zebby Matthews is when everybody is just super hyped about seeing in the pro, and like whatever. They keep rolling Paddock out there to throw to a 6 ERA. It's like, what are you doing? So I took Boston in the first leg of a money line parlay with the Tigers, but it's just this is all about playing against Paddock here. This guy doesn't miss bats anymore. Doesn't do any. I mean, honestly, doesn't really do anything well anymore. And then you look at this lineup here, just with Minnesota.
It's a little harsh.
It's like Jeffers, Jonah Bride, Brooks Lee, Trevor Larnach, who's a lefty who doesn't hit lefties very well. Like I don't like what the Twins are putting up against the Red Sox either. So Red Sox first leg of a money line parlay.
Yeah, I mean, I would be on the Red Sox side. I don't like money line parlays very much, so I don't usually bet them. The juice is pretty heavy here. Boston minus 200 favorite. Looked at the first 5. You couldn't really find a way to play that. I gravitated toward the over because I do think Crochet is going to regress a little bit at some point.
Padres and the Pirates. The Padres going across the country here to play the Pirates. Andrew Heaney is going to be going for the Pirates. He actually been pretty good on the season. Got knocked around last outing, but the Cubs have been knocking around everybody. And honestly, the Cubs really knock around lefties. They have like a ridiculously high splits versus lefties. So I don't think Heaney's good by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think he's as bad as he was there against the Cubs.
Well, and he is a pitcher who can be very good in certain starts. If you get good Heaney, you're very happy when you bet them. And on the other side, you've got Steven Kolak here, and he is going to be starting for the Padres. We talked about the highly touted prospect coming up, like betting them. When it's not a highly touted prospect, the dude's 28 years old, yet to start a game this year, pitched in 3 games last year, I'll go ahead and fade him. So give me the Pirates here, minus 115. I think you have a big edge here on the mound, specifically first 5. So Pirates first 5, minus 115 for me.
Yeah, I will say this, if you're backing the Padres out there, Tatis is in the lineup today. He got hit in the forearm. He played again yesterday, but people were wondering if maybe he would get the day off today, just whatever. He is in the lineup. He's going to be leading off there. Araya's back in the lineup for the Padres, hitting in that 2-hole as well. But man, it's just the rest of that lineup for the Padres. You look through and when they don't have the full complement of dudes. And again, Arias is on base machine, but he didn't hit for any power whatsoever. Like none of that. You're basically hoping Tatis doubles so that he can just slap a single somewhere and score him. And then once you get past Bogarts there in the cleanup spot, it's just dudes, Camposano, Gonzalez, Iglesias, Diaz, Lockridge. I mean, it's just dudes.
I think dudes is being a little nice.
Yeah.
It's dudes who can't hit in the back half of that lineup. Yeah. So once you get past the 4 spot, fairly easy to be able to cruise through it. So I think Heaney, who strikes out a lot of people when he's on, is able to pitch well, specifically against the back half of this Padres lineup. And again, you mentioned it. It's really Tatis and Machado that have power. Outside of that, you're not really scared about anyone jacking one out of the park. And that's a positive as well with Heaney on the mound.
Yeah, and it's, again, like I said, you get a raise back in the lineup, but he doesn't. He slaps the ball to he slaps the ball to left field. That's what I mean.
Hits for a high average, but someone's got to knock him in because it's not going to be himself.
He slaps it, and that's what he does. He's just slapping her. Guardians and the Blue Jays. If you were tailing me yesterday on the Blue Jays, sorry, they blew that save in the night. It was horrible. I mean, you get the dream start from Gausman like you were asking for. Gets to the bullpen and they blow the save. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not bitter at all or anything there.
Definitely.
No,
not going to bring it up the next day.
Yeah, certainly not bitter and certainly not bringing it up here a day later. But yes, let's look at this one. This is Tanner Bybee against Bowden Francis. Minus 120 for the Guardians on the road as favorites. Even money for the Blue Jays at home. 8.5 are total here in this one.
I bet the over 8 this morning. It's now 8.5. I would still lean the over, not as heavily interested with that extra half run there. Bowden Francis, unfortunately, is on my fantasy team. It's not good. It's been a pretty rough year, and the underlying numbers are much worse than what we are actually seeing out on the mound right now. And Tanner Bybee, well, you have some very good starts from him now and again. He also struggling on the season. His underlying numbers also not very good. So it's a pitching matchup here where I'm not surprised the over is getting bet, because if you look at xERA, expected batting average against, all of them are significantly higher than the numbers you actually have on paper for both these pitchers. Yeah,
one of the things that I was looking at and still might get in here is just outs recorded for Bowden Francis. It's up to 17.5, which means he's got to go 6 innings.
Yeah.
Like, I think there are far more worlds that exist where he doesn't make it 6 innings than the ones that he does.
100%. Yeah, I like that quite a bit too.
Yeah, so Bowden Francis under 17.5, I certainly would be looking at that one. And again, these are games. That one going to be fine. That one's in Toronto, obviously with the roof. But just remember, guys, specifically over there on the East Coast,
it's raining.
Rain is coming through, doing all kinds of weird stuff. They might delay starts. They might have to pause in the middle. So just again, if you're doing these pitching props today, you're going to need to pay attention. Pretty good. Guys, sharpplays.com, unmatched transparency with records. They update this daily over there. They just added an AI tool as well to help you with the analysis. So they're going in and they're getting information in the betting world and providing it to you. You can even get alerts if you want to, sent directly to you. So head on over to sharpplays.com. That is SHARPPLAYS.com, sharpplays.com. When we come back, going to get into some hockey betting with Mike Somich. Going to get into a couple more races today. Listen,
they're
I know
still running.
It's the hangover, but it's okay. We're going to try to continue to win some money today. It all spins the same.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Ready, Set, Bet here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. You got a run there in the top of the first for the Mets, so keep it rolling, guys. I would like you to get to 5 keep runs.
Scoring.
And if you could get to 6, that would be even better. So 5 runs would be great. 6 would be even better, as we do each and every Saturday and Sunday, unless it's a Saturday in which Mike's cheating on me on another show, but that's okay.
Mark could have done this yesterday.
That's true. I know. That's true. That's true. We're going to talk hockey.
Tire tracks, man.
And some horses. Let's start out over there on the ice.
Technical regulation size or what?
It's time to ask Mike Somich, what the
Don't you ever touch my puck!
Here we go. Starting out, this is near and dear.
Oh, man.
Near and dear to your heart. There's no bias going into this pick. There's no bias going into this play. This is coming from your hard analysis and nothing to do with what's going on right over here.
Well, to be fair, I've only bet 3 games in this series. I bet the Blues in all of them. They were the 3 home games. So I wasn't out here like play the Blues every single game. I didn't bet the Blues in the series. I am surprised. Right now, you can get plus 150 on St. Louis. Minus 180 on Winnipeg. Winnipeg heading into Game 5 was minus 190. Winnipeg heading into Game 5 had Mark Scheifele, their best player, who got injured midway through the Game 5. And Connor Hellebuyck there are so many questions around what you're going to get from him tonight. He gets pulled for the third time in the series in St. Louis in game number 6, giving up 16 goals in 6 periods in St. Louis during the series. He's been better at home. Not great, but better at home. I just don't know mentally where he's going to be. This is one of those games where he is a Hart Trophy nominee for the MVP of the NHL. He is going to win another Vezina this year as the best goalie in the NHL. Yet the playoff bugaboo has completely bit him for the 4th straight season here. If the Blues get one early, the floodgates open here. And on the other side, you've got Jordan Binnington, who has a 0.82 goals against average in game 7s. He's 3-0 in gold medal / elimination games after winning the 4 Nations in overtime for Canada as well. I trust the goaltender exponentially more for St. Louis in this game 7 when all of the pressure is going to be on Winnipeg because they were huge favorites when this series started, because they are at home, because they are a Canadian team. St. Louis is playing with house money. They were playing with house money when they got to the playoffs because they were as high as 5.5 to 1 to even make it back in January. Now you're here in a game 7 situation. You're missing the best player for the Winnipeg Jets. The best goalie in the world during the regular season is in a mental blender right now. It's hard for me not to want to take St. Louis at literally 5 cents worse of a price than I could have in game 5 when all of these things weren't an issue.
So this has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you're like, hey, we're going to need to be watching this game. We're going to need to be.
I bet against St. Louis more than I bet on them.
Okay.
Because I like as a fan and you know, as a fan, and you know this with like LSU football, you know when it's not going well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so generally I'm against the Blues when I'm betting.
So let's see what the best number currently available is out there. You can actually find a 150 if you want to play the Blues here in this one.
Yeah, that's what the DraftKings guy has 150 up. The under in this game is ridiculous, man. Mm-hmm. It's 5s -110 or 5.5 -180. The first period under a goal and a half -160. Like I was literally typing Blues Jets under the goal and a half because I bet it yesterday, and then I go on to look at the price this morning in the rundown, and I'm like, I can't give it out at -160. That's a crazy number.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But again, so there are some 150s out there if you want to take the Blues. Nice little stab, and just it's a couple pennies, but it's more expensive than that here. I mean, it's cheaper than that here. So like somebody's been betting the Blues at least out here behind us. So take that for what it's worth. What do you like here with the Hurricanes?
Yeah, so this is a series play. We only have one game today. St. Louis Blues and the Jets playing game 7, but we're going to start the second round very shortly here. And we've talked about the Washington Capitals quite a bit throughout the season. They are a surprise team in the playoffs. We were not expecting them to even make the playoffs. They end up with the number 1 seed in the East, and I comp them out very similar to what we saw with the Vancouver Canucks last year, who were not expected to make the playoffs. They're the 1 seed in the West. They win the first round against a wild card team that they are better than, and then they get boat raced in the second round. This is, in my mind, a very similar situation here. This is a Carolina Hurricanes team that controls the puck, controls the shot advantage, likes to play in the defensive zone of the team that they are facing. They're going to be able to play downhill against this Washington Capitals team who just doesn't have enough talent to be able to stick with the Carolina Hurricanes here. I will lay a game and a half with Carolina plus 115. I think they get it done at home in 6.
We said this before. We're like, you know what? Here's the deal. It doesn't matter whether it has a fancy name attached to it, whether it gets an 8-hour broadcast beforehand or whatever. If you win a horse race, Mike, the dollar that you bet in is still worth the same amount than it is in one of the big races, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and when you win, it pays out like in same dollars.
Exact same increment.
Yeah, in the Kentucky Derby. So let's head to the track.
Maybe not.
Saddle up, partner. Want to bet the horses with Mike Somich?
When I bet on horses, I never lose. Why? I bet on all the horses.
It's time to pony up. Giddy up.
I can assure you, if you'd have bet on all the horses yesterday, it would have been tough for you to make money. As you start putting together like superfecta boxes and stuff, I was talking to Mike. I was like, yeah, I didn't get there on the superfecta because I started messing around with stuff. And then it's like these tickets are coming back. Like, I'm not buying a $374 ticket. Like, what is going on here? Like, how's this happening? So those add up very, very, very quickly. So yeah, I didn't get there on that one. We recommend not betting on all the horses. We are going to leave Churchill Downs. We're going to head to Aqueduct.
Yes, we have Aqueduct.
Aqueduct.
Yeah, not Aqueduct.
Aqua. Aqua.
It's in New York. You got to think the New York accent. Aqueduct.
Yeah.
Look, you're right. These pay exact same dollars that we saw yesterday. You don't have as big of an advantage as you did yesterday because of, we talked about it, the public horses that you saw in the Kentucky Derby. But I do like a decent price here. We've got 3 stakes races, graded stakes races from Aqueduct. The first one, the 7th race, the vacancy here, 6.5 furlongs over the dirt course. And there, much like the Kentucky Derby, is speed on speed on speed on speed. We've got 6 horses in the race. 5 of them would like to go to the front. The 6th is the number 6 horse, Socially Selective, who likes to sit just off the pace and then close into it. We've seen Socially Selective be able to run at this level well, ran 3rd in the grade 3 level last time out. This is second off the layoff for Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado, who, by the way, won with Sovereignty yesterday.
Yes.
Trying to get another stakes win here, just as important at Aqueduct in the grade 3. I think Socially Selective should be, we'll call it 4-1, 3-1 range, and we're sitting here at 6-1 on the board. The setup is perfect for this horse. You have 5 horses that want the front. Socially Selective should sit right behind that group of horses and make a run into the turn. I think this is an overlay from a price perspective. So first bet here, Aqueduct, race number 7, number 6, Socially Selective, 6-1.
Dang, so these jockeys like got on a PJ and headed straight up to New York, huh? Because these are all Derby jockeys.
No day off. Jockeys are maybe the hardest working people in the country. Umberto Rispoli, who rode journalism, was at Churchill Downs in the morning for workouts for journalism, hopped on a PJ, was riding at Santa Anita in the afternoon.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He just won $300,000.
And he was on a plane riding at Santa Anita in the afternoon. It was a workout. It was on Thursday, so not on Saturday. It wasn't on the same race.
Okay.
But Thursday morning, he's at Churchill Downs, riding journalism on a flight to Santa Anita, just to fly back to Churchill.
Because I'm looking, I'm like, Brad Ortiz, John Velasquez, whatever. They're all, they're all here. They're all there. Look at that. Let's head to race 8.
Yeah, race number 8 here. One race later on the card. Turf stakes race here, going to mile 16th. I really liked the number 1 Gray Osh here. Favorite right now on the morning line at 3-1. I'm hoping we get somewhere around that price. This horse was phenomenal at Saratoga, 2-back over a good turf course. We're expecting rain in New York, so I do expect the turf course to be good, which means that there's going to be a little bit more water in it. That plays to number 1 Gray Osh. You get Flavian Pratt aboard, who is, for my money, the best jockey in the country. He has won on this horse. He won on this horse in that grade 2 Lake Placid 2-back as well. And face She Feels Pretty, who is probably the best horse on turf in the filly older division right now. Faced her again last time, ran 5th in that race. I expect Chad Brown to have this horse ready to fire right out of the gate here. So the number 1 Gray Osh 3-1 in the 8th race from Belmont at the Big A, which is actually Aqueduct.
We can make that work, but it's got to be with no mo candy.
Okay.
and dynamic pricing.
Not Mohawk Trail?
Have
you given up on Mohawks?
After yesterday, for those of y'all, I had a I had a futures, a fixed odds on Mohawk. What was it? Mohawk.
Flaming Mohawk.
Flaming Mohawk.
Yeah. Phenomenal name.
Yeah, it was really, really good name, but it didn't get home.
Not a good horse.
No. Yeah, not a good horse. At 60-1, it was better than it went off at.
That's true. Jason Worth's horse, another storyline horse.
So I had no idea when I made the bet. So to be fair, I did not do the celebrity.
Sure you did.
Yeah, I did not do the celebrity thing there. All right, guys, we talk about first bet all the time. 1stbet.com. We say VSiN200 is your promo code. And when you do that, you're going to get up to a $200 bonus over there on firstbet.com. Not only can you bet the ponies on the app, you can also watch the races right in there as well. Instant gratification. Nothing better than being able to not have to go and try to find it on the television. Things can get confusing. I was having trouble even just finding results yesterday to figure out what was going on in the previous races. So yes, you go on firstbet.com, 1stbet.com. VSiN200 is your promo code. And again, you're going to get up to a $200 sign-up bonus when you do that. When we come back, we're going to talk to Kevin Rogers, see what he thinks about the hockey game a little bit later today, maybe some of these other series as well. Could he be backing you sort of in a different little way here? He might say something that will make you feel good. I mean, there's the tease
I like that
right there in that one. Hockey talk when we come back on Ready, Set, Bet.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Ready, Set, Bet here on VSiN. Matt Brown, Mike Somich coming to you on a Sunday. And I know that, Matt, you're the golf guy. Why are we not talking about golf? It's because the best golfer in the world has an 8-stroke lead entering the final round, and it's just not worth talking about because I will say this. Unless he has a major injury
or gets arrested.
Yeah, or whatever, he is winning this golf tournament. So, I mean, and I include broken clubs. It doesn't matter. At this point, he could have just a 7-iron and
go tin cup style.
Yeah, and like a 5-wood, whatever. Give him a 5-wood and a 7-iron, and Scotty Scheffler's going to win this tournament.
You don't want to take a shot with Ricky Costello?
No. I mean, so it is the largest 54-hole lead on the PGA Tour since 2011. So,
that's pretty good.
Up 8 strokes going into the final round. Scotty Scheffler ain't losing. It's just not happening. He is not going to lose this game. All right, now joining us, tournament, I should say. Joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line, Kevin Rogers, sports betting analyst over at ProLine TV at Rogers Picks over on the Twitter machine. Kevin, how you doing, man?
Gentlemen, good to talk to you again. How are you?
Doing great. We're sweating a little bit of baseball going on here. We got some hockey coming a little bit later. And Mike Somich, a Blues fan, and not only a Blues fan, but a Blues bettor today as well. And with that, he is sitting here with a full game bet on the Blues, but you're looking at the Blues as well.
I am, Matt, and I do like Somich's Blues, at least in the first period tonight. I'll give you a few numbers here that I dug up. Number one, there's been 2 teams so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs that have scored at least 1 goal in every first period they played. One of them has been eliminated, the Minnesota Wild. The other, St. Louis Blues, have scored at least 1 goal in every game so far in the first period against Winnipeg. Also, in the last 22 games, dating back to March 15th, the Blues have trailed 3 times after the first period. Now, March 15th also coincides with the start of that 12-game winning streak, so they played well the entire game. They have some good starts in each of those games, and they've only trailed 3 times. On the flip side with Winnipeg, last 21 games since March 16th, they've only led 4 times after the first period. So it's hard for me to justify to take Winnipeg or even take Winnipeg -0.5 in the first period. You get good plus money. But I just think the way St. Louis is playing, Mark Scheifele out for Winnipeg, I get that the home team has won every game in this series, but still, the Blues have scored, 20 goals in the last 4 games. They have Connor Hellebuck's number of late. I think they'll get off to at least a good start tonight. So I do like St. Louis in the first period.
Now, Kevin, you mentioned Connor Hellebuck. To me, he is the storyline of tonight's game. What are we going to get from Connor Hellebuck after being pulled for the 3rd time in this series in Game 6? What do you expect from your Vezina winner this year, Connor Hellebuck, tonight?
It's hard to say, Mike, because seriously, when you look at the numbers, and you can't excuse all the goals that he's allowed, and yet he's been better at home, but also the offense help him. They scored 5 goals in Game 1 and 5 goals in Game 5. So, you could give it 3 goals and offense helps you out. All of a sudden, it doesn't look too bad. But, yes, there's a lot of pressure on Winnipeg, obviously, to advance, considering they won the division. They led the division basically the entire season, and now they're playing a St. Louis team that probably wasn't going to be in the playoffs until a few months ago, and they went on that great run, and they turned things around. St. Louis playing with house money tonight, going in there. They lose. Okay, no problem. Winnipeg loses. A lot of head-scratching going into the offseason. But as far as Hellebuck goes, he just had 2 bad postseasons, last year against Colorado and this year against St. Louis, where he's just getting torched in all these games. It was really hard to trust him. You may be good in the regular season, but in the playoffs, your numbers have been bad.
Kevin, if we're watching this thing live and with the struggles that Hellebuck has had, if we see kind of a soft goal get in, is there a live betting opportunity here to get in on the Blues because this thing could possibly go downhill?
I mean, potentially. I mean, if you want to go back to last night's game where, Colorado's up 2-0, it seems like no lead is safe. I mean, again, it's hindsight 2020. You jump on Dallas last night down 2-0 in the 3rd to get some good odds on that one. But, if St. Louis goes up early 1-0, yes, there's a potential. It could go a little bit downhill. But also, this is one I want to mention to you guys, too, regarding this game. after last night's under in the first period between Colorado and Dallas, that's now 8-1 to the under in the first period since 2023 in the playoffs in Game 7s. So now another Game 7 tonight, but the difference is tonight, it's like minus 160 for that first period under compared to last night, which is like minus 125. Like now it's out of control, considering the fact, too, you're 5-1 to the over in this series in the first period. We finally saw that under hit in Game 6. So I'm not even really that confident in saying 170 in a first period under, A, considering Hellebuck, and he has not played well, and B, St. Louis keeps scoring in the first period. But also, when you look at Winnipeg, they scored goals in the first period as well. Too, I mean, you could even say, oh, let's wait a few minutes. You could live bet even 3 or 4 minutes in the first period and take that over of 1.5, maybe get a really good number on it and maybe go that way. I'm not a huge fan of laying the 170 for the under in the first period.
Yeah, I wanted to bet the first period under here, but the juice is absolutely loose on that number. The minus 160, minus 170 feels like it's a lot of control. We've seen the total go down to 5. I may end up being a contrarian over better again tonight on this total because 5 feels like a little short for this series, especially with the question marks in goal there. Now, we've got a couple other series that we're going to have the drop of the puck here shortly. The Panthers taking on the Leafs, the Knights taking on the Oilers. And what do you make of specifically this Knights-Oilers series, which I think is absolutely fascinating? I like the Kings more than the Oilers. I thought the Kings had the upper hand there, specifically through the first 4 games. We saw the Oilers be able to bounce back. And a team that's not nearly as deep as what we saw last year, now they take on a deeper Golden Knights team that is a little more playoff tested, but didn't play their best hockey in the first round against Minnesota. Who do you like in this Knights-Oilers series?
It's a great matchup, Mike. It really is. When you look at these two teams representing the Western Conference the last 2 years and now facing each other, obviously one of them is going to be guaranteed to go to the Western Conference final after this. Vegas took the first 2 meetings this year. Edmonton won the last 2. This was all a front-loaded scheduling situation. They faced off 3 times before mid-December, and they faced off 1 time in 2025. And Edmonton won at Vegas 3-2 back in early April. So it's been a while since these teams have really seen each other, and the underdog actually won each time. So we'll see if that holds up. But, like you said, with Vegas, just how deep they are, Edmonton, they deal with, or they depend on their 2-headed monster with McDavid and Draisaitl. The huge question here is, can the goaltending keep up for Edmonton? We saw Calvin Pickard get a lot of time in that series against LA, and it kind of maybe turned things around when he went in for Stuart Skinner. That they lost the first 2 games to LA and then really blew up in the final 4. And then with Vegas, part of me why I like Vegas a little bit is I just like the change of opponent. It felt like Minnesota was giving them problems in that first series, and now you get a fresh opponent that I think sometimes may, jolt you a bit. And also the Edmonton side, not taking anything away from them, but I guess I will when I preface it like that. That's now 4 straight years of beating LA in the first round. They own LA in the playoffs. This is the first time they didn't have home ice advantage, and they were down 2-0 and they won the last 4. But now you get Vegas here. You're really getting tested. I think Vegas will end up taking this series, but I think the goaltending obviously is number one question mark with the Oilers, but also Vegas, I think with the new opponent, I think may play a little better than they did against Minnesota.
Talking to Kevin Rogers, sports betting analyst over at ProLine.tv. Kevin, a couple other series getting going. The Hurricanes and Panthers, both big favorites, minus 160, minus 170. Capitals plus 140, and then the Leafs there at plus 145. If somebody comes in and goes, you know what, I'm not in the business of laying 160 or 170. I want to get a plus money play in. You like the Capitals or the Maple Leafs a little bit better?
I would say the Capitals, simply because I don't know how much I trust Carolina's goal scoring, and that's always been an issue for me. I know they dug a big hole in their final game against New Jersey, and they came back, and they're just a better team than New Jersey. But Carolina with the goaltending, we'll see what Fred Anderson's deal is moving to the second round. And with Washington, I'm not saying I love Washington, but I just think that that's a better matchup than what the Maple Leafs had with the Panthers. The Panthers knocked the Maple Leafs out of the playoffs 2 years ago, really handled Austin Matthews in that series. Obviously, the goaltending advantage is really on the Panthers side. this time around, as opposed to the last series with Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky. Now it's Bobrovsky against Anthony Stolarz, who was Bobrovsky's backup last year during the Panthers Stanley Cup run. Stolarz signed the big deal in the offseason with Toronto, was their guy. He's been good, but now this is a really big series for Toronto. You're not playing Ottawa anymore. You're playing the Stanley Cup champions, and Matthew Tkachuk returning the lineup was a huge boost for them. Obviously, a team that was kind of struggling the last few months. Now he came back, and you saw how well they played. The Panthers are 16-3 on the road in the playoffs against interconference teams since 2023. So they've dominated on the road. So this is not a big deal, them going to Toronto for the first two games. I just think that the Panthers have more an advantage against Toronto than Carolina does against Washington. I think the Carolina-Washington series is more of a toss-up.
He's Kevin Rogers. Find his work over at ProLine TV. Kevin, appreciate the time, man, and good luck.
All right, thanks, guys.
Just a reminder, everybody, if you're not yet a VSiN Pro subscriber, we're going to give you a deal on an annual subscription. $199 actually can get you 14 months. So more than the annual subscription. You get 2 extra months there for $199. VSiN.com/subscribe.